Hello everyone, welcome back to another Destiny 2 build. Yesterday the new exotic trace rifle came out, the Aegis Scepter. I've been using it quite a bit. It seems a little bit mediocre in PvP, but in PvE it's actually really fun. It's great to tear through some lower level content, but I think it will work really well in some of the higher tier content as well. So I put a build together that's suited to either one. If you want to take it into lower level content, you can, but it will perform really well in the higher tier content as well, which you'll see later on when we work our way through a 1350 Lost Sector. Let's get into the build. So obviously, main exotic we're going to be using it is the Aegis Scepter. Effectively, when you're using this gun, if you get a kill with it, you're going to create a burst of slowing energy, and that will also freeze targets as well. The more kills you get, the more slow, the more freeze, and so on and so forth. It's a really good crowd control and ad control weapon. Because of the Lost Sector that we're doing, there's a lot of void damage in there, so I chose the Gnawing Hunger and Threaded Needle because it is a void burn and there's all void shields, so that makes it nice and easy for me. If you wanted to swap across to an Arc Logic because you were doing an activity that had a lot of arc shields in it, you're more than welcome to. It works really well with this build and all of the same mods we're using on our armor. So with our subclass, we're going to be using a Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Penumbral Blast obviously, and Duskfield Grenade. It doesn't matter too much on your grenade, but I just prefer Duskfield because it helps out with a little bit more ad control. We are going to be using Ice Flare Bolt because, believe it or not, that actually procs from Aegis Scepter kills, which is pretty crazy. And we do have Bleak Watcher Turret as well, which we're going to be using a lot with this build. Fragments are below. I won't go through them too much. You guys can pause and have a look at the video if you need to. So onto our stats. Again, we want to be going for as high recovery as we can and as high on our discipline. It's a Warlock build. We want to be making the most of our Rift and we want to be making the most of our Grenade. We're also going to be using Verity's Brow to really push the limits on the amount of times we can use our Grenade, and it stacks with our Aegis Scepter. So it's a really nice combination between the two of them. If you don't know, Verity's Brow gives you a buff that essentially increases your grenade regeneration every time you get a kill with a matching energy type. It was recently changed. It's called Death Throws. That also increases the amount of damage your grenade does when you throw it. If you're playing with teammates, they get a huge chunk of grenade energy back whenever you throw your grenade and you're near them. So it's a really good thing for team play. It's great for solo as well. Obviously running Linear Fusion Rifle Ammo Finder and Trace Rifle Ammo Finder, and Firepower. So if you're charged with light, and if you have multiple of these mods on your armor, they do stack. But if you're charged with light, it gives you a chunk of your grenade energy back. If you've got two of these on, which we have, you get about half of your grenade energy back, and then you just use the Death Throws perk and so on to rebuild the rest of your energy. Very quick. Onto our gauntlets. So with this build, I did design it so that you could take it into any content, whether it has barriers, overloads, or unstoppables. You can take this exact build in without having to change any of the mods, and you'll be able to complete all of the activities without having to faff around changing things for each activity. So we have unstoppable fusion rifles and anti-barrier auto rifles, hence why we're using our Gnawing Hunger, and elemental armaments. This is how we're going to be collecting our charge with light from our Aegis Scepter. Every time we get a kill with our Aegis Scepter, there's a percentage chance that keeps increasing. You normally get an elemental well every 5 to 7 kills, something around that area, and that's going to proc a lot of our other mods as well. Onto our chest piece, same as before, Concussive Dampener and Void Resist, as I tend to get killed by a lot of void damage in PvE. We've also got Font of Might, so whenever we do pick up one of our elemental wells, that's going to give us a 10-second damage bonus on our Aegis Scepter, and considering that's the main weapon we're going to be using, it comes in handy. Boots, we have Scabs for our Linear Fusion Rifle and Trace Rifle, and we have Elemental Charge. This is how we're going to gain our stacks of charge with light from our elemental wells. And then finally, onto our bond, we have Resonance Siphon. So if you're taking this into GMs, you're going to be getting a lot of your stasis ability energy back, so you can constantly be throwing out stasis turrets. And a mod that I really, really like from the seasonal artifact is Solar and Stasis melee abilities disrupt overload champions, and it also refills your melee energy back. So really, really cool. I kind of want to try this with Top Tree Dawn as well. I feel like that could be interesting for some long range stunning of overload champions, but it works so well with stasis because you stun them, you freeze them, and then you can just finish them off with your linear fusion rifle. And of course, our second firepower mod is on our bond there as well. That is effectively our build. The rotation on it is you primarily are going to be using your Aegis Scepter to freeze absolutely everything in sight. It is really fun and really powerful. You're going to be spawning elemental wells, which you will then go into pick up and proc your extra damage with your Aegis Scepter and give you 2 stacks of charge with light. So whenever you do throw your grenade out, you get half of your energy back and then use the rest of death throws to recharge the last half, and then throw another one out and rinse and repeat. You spawn a lot of stasis turrets. Practically, there isn't a time when you don't have a stasis turret up. You can always get one out before the next one drops off. So it's a really fun build, really great for the high tier content, and fantastic for ad control. You do a lot of damage with Threaded Needle as well. If you did want to change out a couple of the mods on the bond, you could drop one of your firepower mods and then add in Particle Deconstruction instead of Resonance Siphon. That would work really well for you guys as well, but it's completely up to you. If you're running this with teammates, I would imagine that one of them will have Particle Deconstruction on, so you won't need to run it as well. Guys, I'm going to leave you with some Lost Sector gameplay now. We're going to be doing 1350 Master Lost Sector, so I wanted to give a bit of a challenge so you guys can see just how strong this build actually is. If you've got any questions or if you've got any ways to make this build a little bit better, please drop them in the comments for me. If you liked it, drop me a like as well and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. We've got a lot more builds coming your way. Alright guys, enjoy the rest of your day and the gameplay. See ya!